take over, but not so briskly as they have. And that has created so many doubts on their movements and the future of Afghanistan that is linked to the peace, security, and economic prosperity of the region. Please go ahead, General Durrani Sahab.
Thank you very much, Uysal. Getting Afghanistan right was never easy. My journey to make some sense of what later on was called as the graveyard of empires, sometimes the eastern version of Bermuda Triangle, and having been located on the crossroads of history, it started, interestingly, in 1968, November. I entered the country from the west, from the Iranian side, coming from Mushahid. And between Islam Kala and Herat was nighttime, and I was ambushed by the Afghan police, who merely asked me to take their inspector to the next big city. So that was the first lesson I learned on the very first day, very first night, and that was Afghans, even when asking for favor, they will take it at the gunpoint. The second one was when I drove from there back to Pakistan. And en route, I just got the impression that this is such a country where you are not likely to be ever over the hump. By the time you have negotiated one obstacle, another mountain range comes in front. So these are the two lessons that remained with me and were very helpful when I was asked in the early 90s, after the Soviet withdrawal, from the military side, to see if one can untie the so-called Afghan knot. We couldn't do it because the matters were much more complex than one had bargained for. I used to wonder what happens in a country that is so good fighting a foreign occupation or a foreign aggression, but then later on, and that was the time, now we are having such a big problem getting there, putting the, as they say, putting the Afghan Humpty together. And then we came to another conclusion. It is the configuration of the country. It's divided along all possible fault lines, the ethnic, sectarian, the geographical, the topographical, the political, the cultural, and so on.
Assalamu alaikum, sir. Excellency, are you back, sir? Or are you still in?
Sir, Hassan Daud Barsa, please mute your mic.
So once it gets attacked from a foreign power, people wage piecemeal resistance against the occupier. Some of them actually go and join them, usually the city folk. They are the ones. They are the ones who are. I think they are available in every possible country. There are people who, because of their own reasons, they are usually the enlightened ones, the city folk, people with privileges, who join the big power, because that is, I think, they believe that it will serve their purpose and it will protect whatever advantages they have. After the occupation has been vacated and usually waged by the tribesmen, there is yet another divide, and that is of the collaborators and the resistors, the freedom fighters, who have won the war. And now comes the bigger challenge. That is why it gets described as probably one of the most mysterious places, and we'll come to the present situation very soon. But before that, if I may be allowed to describe another phenomenon that actually was very humbling. No, as a foreign aggressor, you can be humbled. As a political analyst, you can be, surprised every now and then. For me, as the representative of Pakistan on the basis, where one always believed, I come from a country, a bigger country, a more prosperous country, a more powerful country. The others hardly ever took note of where I came from, unless I said, we are the neighbors of Afghanistan. And then you would be invited. As a defense attaché in Germany, because the Soviets were in Afghanistan, I was a very popular defense attaché. I had good access. I would, go and make my presentations to all groups. After the whole thing was over, I went back after my retirement, same country as an ambassador, and no one was interested in now the nuclear or nearly nuclear country, unless one had to say that, look, I once dealt with Afghanistan. And then people, paid attention. So that is the place of Afghanistan. And today, if anything, I think it's a good proof how it mystifies the world, how it attracts attention, and how people genuinely want to know what's going to happen now. And there, before one comes to that particular point, let me quote Churchill, what he said once about the United States. You can count on the United States to ultimately do the right thing. But before that, it must exhaust all other options. So that is what took the United States 20 years, exhausting option. But I think ultimately they did the right thing. Made a deal with the Taliban, who in the meantime had become a power to reckon with, and then whether left or handed over power, well, that one can always be discussing for all times to come. And now it's our turn, ladies and gentlemen, to get this place right. The problem is another saying of Churchill, and that is, if anyone claims to know what the Afghans would do next, one should get his or her head examined, because of so many unpredictabilities that can take place, because of the division that I've talked about, because of their historical baggage but history that teaches them something, and most important, the tribesmen do not live based on trust. The only trust they have is in themselves, in their whatever they can do, and that is why they keep their powders dry. So that is where we are right now, trying to understand what will happen. I think Pakistan has done very well. In a way, in a sense, that for the last about 10 or 15 years, knowing that some time like this would come, they've been trying to position this. They reached out to, somewhere in 2007 or 8, they reached out to Iran, got rid of...
NYR लिखा हुआ है, वहाँ मैं नाम क्या लिखूं? I just want to know.
There was a bone of contention between the two countries, the Jandullas. Both of them countries cooperated to get rid of them. I think was a spectacular step that Pakistanis at that time took was reaching out to Moscow. I was a beneficiary of that particular initiative a couple of times there, mostly to talk about post-Soviet Afghanistan, but also found out that now on the Russians would be our partners when it comes to taking care of Afghanistan, post-United States. Or before that, I suppose we could coordinate the policy. Turkey could always be counted upon, and so we could also count upon China. People forget that at that time, even made a gesture to Indians to come and join us. Istanbul process, second round, was only possible because we asked them to come and join. Well, it may not have worked out as well as we ought, but at least that was the effort. So with that position, if we have to now take care of this country, it's not going to be run singly by any nation. We all have our assets, we all have our strengths, we all may have our baggage, but put together all of that, I think we can try and take care of a few major things. The first thing, of course, is we all know how Afghanistan was created by a grand bargain. All important factions had to be on board. In my days, it was called a broad-based interim government, a broad-based subsequent government. So nowadays, if we are trying to persuade them to involve the other faction, I think this is already a good step. And our partners, the other partners, are going to be even more helpful or more useful in achieving this because we have, I suppose, a certain baggage ourselves. The second one is going to be, please ensure that the spoilers are kept out. Of course, there will be spoilers. Those who do not want this country to be, if it is back in good shape, it might go the way the old independent Afghanistan would, looking after his own interest, and that included giving all due respect and due regards to the most important country at that time for Afghanistan, and that was Pakistan, which could host, in case of emergency, some of their refugees, but essentially it was the conduit for their trade, and it was a window to the rest of the world. And that's why they used to look after our borders when we had wars against India. So spoilers would be there who do not want that situation to come. I don't have to talk about them. I suppose we all have our devils, so we can think of who all would do, whether it was because going to be Cpec or because of, the bigger conflict that we are talking about, China versus United States. So that would be another one. And the third one is we live in a practical world. Taliban now would need money for construction, for constructive objectives, not to be thrown out of the window. Like so much was, the maximum money was spent on the Afghan National Army. As a military, I could have said at that time, this is not going to happen. Because in Afghanistan, not the armies that make the difference. It's the tribesmen, it's the tribal consensus, the tribal militia. I mean, they are the more important one. And that might actually explain the melting away of the ANA. That might also explain why the Taliban were, despite the small number, despite the fact that they do not have that mobility, that they also position themselves strategically in important places before they went for the jugular, Kabul. This type of a positioning that the regional countries have done augurs well, times to come. I think the last point that I want to make, and some people here get worried, what would happen if our own people get encouraged because of the victorious model of the Taliban? Ladies and gentlemen, one has known Afghans, all themselves inward looking, but I know they do not export their people and ideology. They are more interested, they are actually primarily interested in that country. However, suppose there are deficiencies in some of the neighboring states, if they are unhappy with their own system, if they think that the justice cannot be met out to the poor people, if they think that their governments are not looking after their interest and, the moment they get some sort of a threat from outside, quite possible that they also would start thinking about a little bit of Talibanization so that they can actually turn the paradigm, the corner. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, John Durrani, for your initial talk. And the last point that is very alarming. And in fact, for the last 2 days, we have seen the Taliban's flag hoisting at the Lal Masjid, Red Mosque, in the center, in the heart of Islamabad. And they have also announced certain measures to be taken for the same sort of interruption or Sharia law. And, the stance of the Lal Masjid Walas. And they have reiterated 2 days back, and the district administration, they wanted to undo some, the measures they have taken, or like their, but they could not succeed. the Taliban victory, quote unquote, that you mentioned, that has also already encouraged some factors in Islamabad, in the heart of the country. What do you say?
No, I probably have already said if we have made such a big blunders, and Lal Masjid was an operation that as a military man I could never approve of, when it started, had to be done differently, and the armies are trained how to do it differently. It never includes that you start from one end, burn down the whole head. Now that is one. How these things have been trained. I mean, look, even in the military, people have been trained how to fight insurgency. Force is only a small part of it. Most of it is non-military. Most of it is political, administrative. If we have failed on certain fronts, of course, there is Lal Masjid or some other factions, they will try and do something under the circumstances, believing that they might succeed. Earlier, they did not. They this time may, because in the meantime, state institutions have become weaker. Taking care of them is our job. It's not because of what has happened in the Western country, in Afghanistan.
Sir, in the given circumstances, like if the situation aggravate, the Lal Masjid Walas and their allied forces and such kind of elements in the society starts like popping up with their slogans, what strategy should adopt it?
If a country like Pakistan, with all that it has, is going to get nervous, getting cold feet, getting nervous because of a few people in Islamabad and few other people, that obviously means we haven't done ours. Now, there are enough number of good people, I'm sure they're listening as to how to now, recreate that particular system in which people had to be looked after. I'm sure there are going to be used some force, but most of it will have to be, like our old teachings, non-military, political. We keep telling everyone else, no military solution, please use politics. When it comes to our own one, whether it's the tribal area or Lal Masjid, the only thing that we do is, well, burn it down, bomb them, and then justify that, because if we had not done that, the government would be bored, we'd suffer more. So that is the mistake all countries make. About the United States, others, I can say that they at least go and commit these blunders elsewhere. In our case, we have done it at times at home. And that is where I'm so grateful. Indians, they also, when they try and, use high-handed method against their own people, 370s and Citizen Act, that they lose traction. They lose, that particular goodwill within the country, and it weakens this one.
Right. Sir, the last question to you, General Durrani. We have seen Taliban this time coming up with more mature political and strategic policy. They are talking to different countries in their own terms. To China, they have spoken in their terms. And to Pakistan, they have said accordingly. And to others as well. This is the one. This, like many sectors, different people say that perhaps it is a strategic move by another strategic power. So, do you see like any other strategic power behind Taliban this time? One. Secondly, on the other hand, we are hearing about the Mujahideen, quote unquote. They are gathering, and they will also be, a part of the conflict with their, armed struggle, quote unquote. What do you say about these two elements?
If there is another strategic power behind the Taliban who's moving them, motivating them to all these, in these directions, where they have shown more maturity, where they have, trying to reconcile or reintegrate their own people, and they're reaching out to the other countries to for their own benefit, I like to believe that that strategic power is we or our friends. On the other hand, my own idea, my own conclusion would be the learners that the Afghans are very good. I mean, in our own time, we thought that we could teach them something about the military warfare. And well, on certain weapon systems, we had to. Found out that their ability to acquire or expertise on a particular weapon, a completely new weapon, was much better than ours. Because I think basically they are born users of weapons. This particular case, they had to learn, because of those 20 years, which they were resisting, had to learn many other things like politics, like media management, like diplomacy. Even on the financial front, what the means that they adopted, there are very few people who can come up with this. They used to get over $500 million every year from NATO sources, $200 million only, so that they can provide, so the NATO forces can move in a secure manner on the highways in Afghanistan. These people were providing them security, getting the money, and at the same time fighting them. Drugs cart, the development ones, that was, that was besides that. So if these are the people who are so creative, so imaginative, they can improvise so well, well, I'm sure they can think of all that we are now trying to give credit to anyone else.
Okay.
They could have done that themselves, could have done that better. My own experience is, unless the thing starts from within, it's an indigenous, awareness of certain things and the willingness to do it, outsiders cannot do it.
Okay. Thank you very much, Lieutenant General Asad. Durrani Sahab was speaking about the strategic aspects of the Afghan situation that is currently, and what is what could be the strategic impact on the region. Now, I would like to move on to Senator Mushahid Hussain Sayyid Sahab, Chairman, Senate Standing Committee on Defense. Mushahid Sahab, my question is that you have seen the situation, how it would impact bilateral and multilateral relations in the region. Yeah, please, I would request all the people, please, whoever enters into the meeting room, please immediately mute your mics. Otherwise, I have the privilege to remove you guys. Sorry. Senator Mushahid Sahab, please unmute yourself.
Okay.
Please go ahead, sir.
Yes, thank you very much, Munir Sahab. It's a pleasure to listen to a thinking general like General Asad Durrani Sahab. He always is very creative, and he has an uncanny ability to connect the dots historically and contemporary as well. And it's a pleasure to be with you, and a warm welcome to our international guests as well as other Pakistani friends. I think that when we look at the Afghanistan situation, it's not just a situation in Afghanistan that has ended, that it's a policy failure or an intelligence failure on the part of the US. I think what we are seeing really is actually a major shift in the regional balance of power, also because the US has seen a kind of humiliation that perhaps was not witnessed before in the last 40, 50 years. Actually, I think it's rightly being seen as basically the demise of what was once termed as the American century, which started in 1945 after World War II. And the way the war ended and the way then they exited. And then also an adjective which was never linked with the US was incompetence. But we can see that monumental incompetence of the US and also of its NATO allies. After all, the American president and the British foreign secretary were vacationing while Kabul was collapsing. And that is something that they have to live with. And the images that you've seen in the Kabul airport. So first, a very brief look at the geopolitical context of this whole thing. It's the retrenchment of US power, economic and political in the region, which is there. And what happened on 15th August underlined that. We have also the rise of China, basically through its economic diplomacy, its policies of connectivity through the Belt and Road Initiative. And then we also have the resurgence of Russia in the region, because China and Russia become major players. And then there's the role of Pakistan, Iran, Turkey, trying to carve out their own independent slots, as well as India's role, which is mostly as a surrogate of the United States of America. So this kind of shift, which is there, it is going to now sink in, and it has going to have certain consequences. When we talk of the post-Taliban order, what are the key ingredients for stability that people are looking forward to? I think there are two bottom lines which are very clear among most of the regional countries, and that is number one, that Afghanistan's territory should not be used for any kind of cross-border terrorism against its neighbors, whether it's Pakistan, Iran, China, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, and Uzbekistan. I think that is a very key area, because the United Nations report, which was issued on 26th of July, 2021, indicated that there are about 12,000 foreign terrorists currently in Afghanistan, out of which more than half are from Pakistan, the TTP. There are some from the ETIM, the East Turkestan Islamic Movement, which is basically separatist Uyghurs from China, from Xinjiang province. Then there's IMU, the Islamic Movement of Uzbekistan, which is Uzbek. And then there is Daesh, ISIS, which is about 3,000 forces, some Al-Qaeda, and also some people from the anti-Iran group, the Jaish al-Adl. So that, I think, is going to be a very, very major challenge and for the international community, for the regional countries. The second, I think, on which there's a broad consensus within the region is that the way forward has to be the regional connectivity to bring in Afghanistan into the regional economic framework, whether it's the Belt and Road Initiative or whether other initiatives with Iran, or whether there's this Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India pipeline. So I think that is going to be very, very key. And people are hoping, especially in Pakistan, that if Afghanistan stabilizes, then the linkage of Central Asia with Southern Asia and Southwest Asia will be further strengthened. So the first challenge is preventing any kind of a new civil war in Afghanistan through an inclusive, broad-based government of consensus, which includes some of the figures of the previous regimes also, but other figures of the former Northern Alliance also, because Afghanistan is also a diverse country in terms of ethnicity and language, and that has to be incorporated. Secondly, as I mentioned, the issue of terrorism is there, Afghanistan's territory, and the Taliban have been giving guarantees during their visits to Tehran, to Moscow, and to Tianjin in China. When they went on a delegation in July, they gave these assurances that Afghanistan's territory will not be used against any of its neighbors or any other country for that matter. But that is an article of faith in the Doha Accords, which was signed on 29th of February 2020. And then the other concern of countries here would be a larger one, that hopefully that this situation does not lead to a new great game between the US and China and Russia, or a new Cold War. And that is something that this region cannot afford. After 42 years, there's a glimmer of hope for some semblance of peace, security, and stability. But the key lies with the Taliban, whether it's yesterday, once more, their policies of 1990s, or they have actually changed, as people say, it's a new Taliban or Naya Taliban. So let's hope that their pronouncements are matched by their practices, so that Afghanistan can finally see some semblance of peace, security, and stability, which in turn would be inextricably intertwined with peace, security, and stability in Pakistan and the neighboring countries. Thank you.
Okay, Mushahid Saab, can I have some supplementary questions, one or two?
Yes, yes,
okay.
Certainly.
You talked about inclusive government to avoid and avert civil war in Afghanistan. How it would be ensured, and who are the elements like that will ensure that Afghanistan won't go into civil war, while Mushahideen and the Northern Alliance, they are coming up with their own strategies that is not aligned with the Taliban's strategy? Please.
I think there have to be 2-3 tracks on that. One, of course, the onus of responsibility is primarily on the leadership within Afghanistan. Whether it's the Afghan Taliban or whether it's the other leadership which is there, because after all, they also have to bear the burden to rise to the occasion above their narrow parochial differences. So that's number one. And we have been talking of an Afghan-led, Afghan-owned peace process. So now is the time to show leadership, not the kind that Ashraf Ghani showed when he fled with $139 million of money stashed away in his chopper, but the leadership which is already there, Hamid Karzai or Dr. Abdullah and others, and some of them are also in Islamabad these days, talking to the Pakistani side for the same purpose. Secondly, it is the regional countries. No one country can determine the destiny of Afghanistan, as we have seen what happened to the US. So Pakistan, Turkey, Iran, China, Russia, the Central Asian states, which are neighboring Afghanistan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, they have also to throw their strength and their weight behind this peace process. And of course, the Taliban are aware $9.5 billion of their money, which was in the American reserves, they have been blocked. So they will need investment, they will need economic support, and that support should be linked with an inclusive government there. I think that is extremely important. And then thirdly is the international community, the West, which created the mess and which exited from that in such a manner, is the US, is the European Union, UK, other countries. They should also be brought on board because I think they also have a strategic stake in Afghan's stability. So I think if all these countries are willing to guarantee the unity, sovereignty, independence, and territorial integrity of Afghanistan through a policy of non-interference, and it should be mutual non-interference, no other country should interfere in Afghanistan's internal affairs, and neither should we allow Afghan territory to be used for cross-border terrorism or sponsorship of terrorism by these terrorist groups. I think then the way forward can be worked out. So it has to be a collective effort. Pakistan tried to go it alone last time around when the Soviets exited. We failed. And I'm glad we have learned those lessons the hard way. And now we have seen how the US failed in the 21st century, similar to how the Soviets failed in the 20th century, similar to how the British failed in the 19th century. So Afghanistan's reputation for being a graveyard of empires is certainly well deserved.
So do you think like there would be no interference from across the border in Pakistan? And do you, see like there will be no more migrants to Pakistan, as Pakistan government has said that there is no influx of migrants to Pakistan. Do you really see like in the coming days or at the moment? We are not facing this challenge, and while they are moving to other countries nearby this challenge.
I think there are a number of
this phenomenon.
There are a number of internally displaced persons within Afghanistan. About people, your figures from between 350,000 to 500,000, but they are not refugees. They have not left their country, and I think the refugee exodus would be linked to a new civil war. Thankfully, the Taliban have taken power in a somewhat subdued manner, I would say, through a peaceful transfer where mostly the Kabul regime forces, and according to the American sources, that instead of the figure of 350,000, most of them were ghost soldiers. Now they say the actual army was 120,000. So anyway, that army melted away, so there was no fighting. So if there was fighting, then people would have fled the country. So thankfully, the threat of an exodus of refugees on a large scale is no longer there. But if they come in groups and families, of course, Pakistan is a very warm and welcoming country. We've opened our visas for them. Our embassy is said to be working till midnight to grant visas to all and sundry in Afghanistan even. And PIA is flying 2-3 flights a day to ferry passengers, whether Afghans or non-Afghans, out of Afghanistan. So that's fine. So far, that threat of an exodus of refugees on a large scale has been averted for now because of the absence of any civil war or any new conflict. But God forbid, if there is that kind of threat, which is realized in practical level into an actual war or new conflict, then the threat of refugees would be real. And I think it would be difficult to stop thousands of people from coming in should that situation arise. But so far that hasn't arisen.
Okay, okay. Senator Mushahid, you have mentioned about Iran and Turkey and China and Russia, like they should also taking responsibility or like contributing towards peace in Afghanistan and collaborating with the new government that you mentioned. They should be inclusive and that should be indigenous government. What could be the mechanism of contribution from the external powers or like the other neighboring countries?
Well, Pakistan is already working on that. There has been a Doha process. The Doha process was basically twofold. One was the United States of America and the Afghan Taliban. And the second phase, which never really got off the ground, was the intra-Afghan dialogue between the Afghan Taliban and the Kabul regime. So that remained like a stillborn baby. So in this context, Pakistan is trying to broker some talks. And I would say that there are other countries which have linkages, not just with the Afghan Taliban, with other groups also. And that includes those four regional countries: China, Russia, Turkey, and Iran, apart from Pakistan. So I think they should be playing their role. Pakistan should coordinate with all these four. And I'm glad the foreign minister is about to embark on a visit to the Central Asian republics also very soon, as well as Iran. Because Iran has the new president, Ibrahim Raisi, and the new president of Iran has said that his first priority would be the relationship with neighbors. And he also mentioned some good relations with Saudi Arabia. So that's a very positive sign. Because Iran is also a very key player. Iran has been hosting Afghan refugees for a very long period. Pakistan has been a model host. The longest duration we have hosted, the largest number of refugees, and without any animus, without any conflict. And it has been a warm, welcoming approach from the people of Pakistan for their Afghan brethren. And that approach is likely to continue.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Senator Mushahid Hussain, Chairman, Senate Standing Committee on Defense, was speaking about how the neighboring countries and the elements within Afghanistan can contribute to stabilize this situation. Thank you so much, Senator Mushahid. Now I would like to move on to Dr. Ahmed Uysal, scholar from Turkey. That is Turkey, as Mushahid said, and as other Muslim countries always take, they have a lot dependence on reliance on Turkey for such kind of interventions where Muslims countries could work together and stabilize their economic and security situations. Dr. Ahmed Uysal, are you there? Yes, please go ahead. Unmute your mic, please.
Yes, thank you very much. You hear me well?
Yes, very well.
Yes, thank you. And Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I salute all the participants and brothers and sisters in all around the world, but especially in Pakistan, a brotherly, sisterly country. And as you know, I want to mention the winners and losers quickly, and then I want to move what can be done as Turkey, and as discussed very often. But I know Pakistan is the major winner or the biggest winner in the American withdrawal, American failure, because America wants to control the whole Asia, invading the heart of the Asia, which is Afghanistan, and then the graveyard of empires. They failed once again. The Afghani people, they did not want to kneel down on anybody. So this is a major thing, and Pakistan supported that very much. And I think they win. They win strategically in Afghanistan. And we can mention China and to some extent Russia and Turkey and Iran, but not as much as Pakistan, but still on the positive side. I mean, if they want to use Afghanistan, I mean, America or the losers has, let's mention also the losers. India and USA is, of course, the major loser, and also India is the major loser in this conflict. They want to contain Pakistan, especially Indians, and America want to control the whole continent in a unipolar. After the fall of Soviet Empire, they were the sole power in the world, and they want to use this as an opportunity to control the whole region, whole world affairs, and they failed. But if we go with this, after America realized that they cannot swallow this like a big piece that's stuck in their throat, and India went along with them, and India also tried to contain Pakistan, our brotherly country, from the north, and also try to establish an alternative trade route to China with American support. But I think this will also fail now with Afghanistan is out of the table. And we also see that American allies like Israel, like some Gulf countries, they will also suffer from this morale that the superpower is retreating. So this is gonna be a major blow to the maybe pro-American, pro-Israeli, pro-normalization type of governments in the Middle East, and as well as the American proxies like the PKK, PYD that are using in Syria and Iraq, which is very affecting Turkey directly, their interest. They want to also like contain Turkey from the south, from Syria and Iraq. So they are supporting the PKK to weaken Turkey and to contain Turkey, not to get expanded and not to be influential. So we can mention them. And of course, Turkey will be happy, is happy with this change. And I think Turkey has good historical ties, good interest. They have a strong interest in the stability of the region, prosperity. We are affected by migration and all other things, and especially India losing the markets in the Central Asia because they were building roads and stuff to reach the Central Asian markets, and Turkey has a major interest in these areas. And so let's move to the challenges. I mean, how Turkey sees it. The challenge is, of course, there is the image of radical Islam that started with the look, with also what they've done in 20 years, maybe exaggerated, but the image is there. Of course, the Hollywood movies, etc. Osama bin Laden. So the main challenge is the integration with the external world, with the outside world. So Taliban government will have a major difficulty or a challenge. They can manage it. The early signs, the early messages are very positive, but they need to do a lot. And also, it's not easy because we know there is an Islamophobic lobby all around the world, working very much in India, in China, in the West, and especially when you join with migration. Many Western societies, they are afraid of migrants from Syria and Afghanistan, from Africa. So this can create a big panic in the West. So when I'll come to the what we can do to stabilize. So it's everybody's interest as Muslims not to have Afghanistan as a mosquito mud or mosquito that's producing concerns for everybody. So we have to dry this mess, and then this for our interest to have a stable and Afghanistan, and not to produce migration, poverty, or even drugs or other things that are now spreading in the Middle East. So if you just mention the radicalism, we have to, there are many examples of Turkey and Pakistan can help to tone down to, even like AK Party, they come from more radical line with Erbakan. Now they became more moderate, and they were very much involved in the, of course, they did not lose the essence of Islam, but they updated the discourse with democracy, human rights, etc., and maybe free market. So Pakistan and Turkey can help to even gain the legitimacy and also gain kind of a recognition and not being seen as a radical perspective. If you're hearing, a lot of azan, I can close the window if it reaches you. If it is okay, I'll continue the same way. Dear host, is it?
Yeah, but it's okay. I think you can continue with.
Yes.
Or we can go to Dr. Somaye Morovati.
If it's okay, I'll complete in 2 minutes. No problem.
Oh, please go ahead.
Allahu Akbar, yani. So Turkey, we see this as a challenge for everybody, as a Muslim case, and we have to tone down. We have to help our brothers and sisters with also the economy, with stability, with the migration. It is a very difficult situation for anybody to migrate, to leave their homes, and we have to help them to create this environment. And Afghani people are known for trade. They are hard workers. They already live in hard conditions. They are used to the hard conditions. They are not seeking luxury. If they are provided with some opportunities, some kind of facilities that keep them in their home and in their so Afghan economy is a bigger challenge for all of us, and it is better for a minute. This is a Turkish azan. We have.
Okay. Talking about. Please go ahead.
Yes, we stopped what we can do together. Yeah. We were mentioning that international legitimacy is very important to bring investment and bring not only from foreigners, but even Afghani people who has a business outside the diaspora. They can contribute a lot, and we in Turkey also benefited from that. The Turks living in Europe, in Germany mostly, they also help the Turkish economy with the stability, and so not only foreign investment, but also Afghani capital that's present all around the world can join forces. We know the USA, of course, we see Pakistan as our brother and partner. Pakistan can contribute a lot, and also partnership with Turkey, also maybe involving Qatar as a donor or as an investor can all make a big difference. And we know America did not build institutions. We know how even the military institution, how it collapsed very quickly. They did not have a real military. They did not have real, bureaucratic institutions. They did not train well. They did not train them well. So the know-how is weak. Of course, they have the irada, they have the willpower, inshallah, the Afghan government, to serve their people, but it should be more, they need more help in supporting this. So it is now our duty to help them, and we can provide a lot of help. So if in the economy, in bureaucracy, in diplomacy, Pakistan have good experience, Turkey has good experience, they can join forces, especially when, Turkey is also under threat that every time they do something good, they are criticizing Turkey and they are saying dictator and non-democracy or whatever, but they forget the real dictators in the region. And we are full of them in the Middle East, but they have the double standard and we are used to it. But how not to get emotional, not to get, reactionary? It's very important. We need Pakistan's help in this. We need Turkey's help. So if we mention bureaucratic reforms are very important that we have done in Turkey in the last 20 years. They, facilitated. When I summarize Turkish experience, Turkish model, I said this is one is tahrir, one is normalization. One is tahrir, is the emancipating or making people free to contribute based on or depending on society, not on the state. State, if you involve state too much, it's get corrupted. But if let society to function for hire, for charity and other things, or for profit, it's both helps society to get rid of poverty and illiteracy, etc. So we strengthen the role of society. The second is normalization, which is not with Israel, of course. Normalization with Turkey's neighbors, its own society, with the Kurds and all this. So this strengthen Turkey actually, and we should do similar. We can do similar in Afghanistan because we know it's not secret. The Taliban is mostly a Pashtun community, but they can include, Muslims. We had sometime Turkish ruler, we sometime Persian ruler, Arab ruler. We did not distinguish. The adalat or the justice is more important. If they can, like the Ottomans, they attract to many groups, even Christians, and we have this Hanafi school that are already accustomed, familiar with these differences, and I think we have a common base that ruled the region for a long time. So with the logic, the practice we have is not far away from the practice. So we can build on this to include many different sections, various sections of Afghan society, from Uzbek to Tajik to Shia, all kinds. And I think Pakistan has a good vision, and we can also encourage them and help them to democratize in a maybe Islamic way. So this is very important because I expect that foreigners, especially the losers, will try to ignite this sectarianism, tribalism, or ethnic conflict. This is what they do. It is always easier to destroy than to construct, to build. Building is more difficult, and we are, inshallah, as Muslims, we are for building, not for destroying. And we can, inshallah, Allah with us, and we can achieve that. And Afghani people, honestly, they need that very, very quickly, very urgently. So if you come to these bureaucratic reforms, even military, it's a challenge now for Taliban to become, from militias to turn into a real working military that secures the region. Security is very important because it's even said in the Quran. Allah says, "At'amahum min ju'in wa amanahum min khawf." Yani feeding people, and also Allah, says we protect it from fear. So fear is very worrying, and if we can solve this security and also economy, feeding is like economy, it's going to be a very good service to Afghani people. And also Turkey have a good potential in that and we realize in Turkey also, not everything needs money. Of course you need funding for big projects, but you have tools, you have people, you have voluntary, you have higher potential, for example, charity and all these sadaqah we have. people want to serve their communities, and if
Okay.
those who have potentials, they help those who don't, can be a big threat. Just to sum up, in the economic aspect, we have trade potential very much for Afghanistan because they are at the heart of Asia. Agriculture, foreign investment, we know mines also, mountainous area, mountains also are a good source of maybe many things still not explored in Afghanistan because of these long wars. And we can do a lot. And this also will serve Turkey because Turkey needs stability. They have to stop migration. They have to stop these terror threats. These terrorists, they always exploit these potential, economic weaknesses, poverty, etc., drugs and whatever. But just one concern I have, we have to help Afghans to be themselves. If Pakistan, I know, is the supervisor now, but if they want to be, it's like child. If you push too much, if you dictate too much, then they begin to rebel and they begin to accuse you for anything. And Afghan government should be responsible for themselves, and we should be helping them.
Okay.
Otherwise, very soon, people began to blame Pakistan for the wrongdoings, etc. And we are also very keen on, precious for us, Pakistan. We don't want them to be like also be weakened because of the problems. We know it's not very easy. If we help them, Pakistanis, to get strong, on their foot, to stand on their foot. I know you have the same vision. It's gonna be a good future, inshallah. Thank you very much.
Inshallah. Thank you very much, Dr. Ahmed Uysal, for your wonderful suggestions. And I hope bureaucratic reforms that you have done in Turkey would be working very efficiently. We also had several times bureaucratic reforms, but unfortunately, we could not make maximum out of the bureaucratic reforms. And thank you so much for letting us know how Turkey can help reform the processes in Afghanistan. And you mentioned Pakistan, supervisor of the situation. And definitely after Hassan Daud Sahab had spoken, I would like to go to Asad Durrani Sahab and Mushahid Sahab, how Pakistan has become supervisor of the entire situation and what role it could play. And after Hassan Daud Sahab, definitely Ahmad Jafri Sahab, I have seen your hand, you have raised your hand, and let me go to the fifth speaker of the day, and then definitely I would be coming to you, Ahmad Jafri Sahab. And
Dr. Munir, we are happy that Pakistan is the supervisor. We don't agree that.
This rank is just you given to Pakistan, and Pakistan. Okay, let's see.
To grow, to be strong. Yes.
Okay. Well, we will talk about the supervisory role of Pakistan afterwards, and then I would also like Murtaza Solanki Sahab, who is a very seasoned journalist, if he's around. We would definitely like to have his point of view as well. Solanki Sahab, are you there? I don't know. Okay, let's go to our next speaker, and he is Hassan Daud Sahab, CEO of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa Board of Investment and Trade, and he has been the chief of Cpec as well, and he has a very keen interest and knowledge about BRI and Cpec interventions in the region and across the other regions as well. Hassan Daud Sahab, a major concern is also coming up as a threat to Cpec projects in Pakistan if the security situation deteriorate, and if the situation spreads around the neighborhood. How do you see the Pakistan's role and China's role and the other neighboring countries' role in assuring the Cpec interventions, because end of the day, the all interventions would be benefiting not only Pakistan and China, but also the neighboring countries too. Please go ahead, Hassan Dalbat sir. Let me unmute. Yeah, please unmute yourself.
Okay,
Please
thank
go
you very much. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you are. It's an honor and privilege to be amongst the likes of General Durrani, Senator Saab, Dr. Ahmed, Somaye, and when you are speaking at the last, you have the advantage of taking the liberty of taking points from all the great speakers and then, tailoring them as per your own choice. And I will benefit from that. When I was listening to all the speakers, immediately I kept thinking of how Pakistan and also Afghanistan can benefit emerging from this situation. And I totally agree with all our great speakers who said that we need an Afghan-led and Afghan-owned system. So for my 5 minutes talk, in which I would succinctly speak on various proposals, I will assume a situation where things normalize, and in Afghanistan, you have a government led by the Afghanis themselves, irrespective of who is at the lead, but assuming that it's led by the Afghanis, irrespective of the parties. You see, I am a proponent of the group which believes that there can be no peace without development. And I am also, when I was, during the course of this great discussion, I was thinking and trying to look at Khyber Pakhtunkhwa investment regime on which I am working, and comparing it with the synergies and possibilities that are there in Afghanistan. In Afghanistan, I think the population is around 39 million. Including the refugees, and in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, our population is 35 million. Afghanistan is a country which has a lot of natural endowment, including mineral resources, agriculture potential. They have 5 rivers, and that's almost similar to what we have in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. And just imagine, and I agree to what Dr. Ahmed said, by a few statisticians, there's been about 2.2 trillion worth of money dumped in Afghanistan from 2001 to time as we speak. And during this time, China was building its Belt and Road Initiative and spending almost 1/3 of this amount, even less than half of this amount, on building roads, hospitals, infrastructure, big bridges, schools. And in our FATA, they have these 50 schools being built through the socio-economic development package given by the Chinese government. Whereas America was dumping all this money on arsenal and war equipment. So which is better? Clearly, China's Belt and Road Initiative is a beacon of hope in this time. And I also look at Afghanistan and comparing it with Khyber Pakhtunkhwa again. It is like a bridge between Eurasia and South Asia. It is a bridge between the Western and Eastern Asia. And it is like Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, which is a stepping stone for doing investment in Central Asian Republic. All the 3 Central Asian Republic neighboring Afghanistan and including Pakistan and Iran are doing extremely well as far as Belt and Road Initiative is concerned. China has done unprecedented, this comprehensive strategic agreement with Iran for consolidating its situation and relationship on economic terms. Pakistan, on our part, is doing exceedingly well. We're doing 22 projects worth of 28 billion as we speak, and the promise is of over 60 billion. Similarly, Central Asian Republic and even countries which have territorial dispute in ASEAN are doing exceedingly well while benefiting from export and trade with China. And likewise, Afghanistan is part of Belt and Road Initiative and is also somehow related to the SC organization also. as an observer country. So for them, I think if I look at the entire all these years, the only one good thing that USA has done, I believe, and I was discussing this with my colleague from Iraq, the only one good thing that US forces have done is conducting a geological survey of all districts of Afghanistan and looking at the potential, including rare earth. And if Afghan government can get hold of that literature, I think stepping from there, they can leverage their mining industry, they can leverage their agriculture industry, and also become from a key importer, become an exporter of these minerals, and also the 39 million great human resource that they have. And what does Pakistan has to do at this point? And since you've made me an expert of Cpec, and I was since attached with it from 2013 till today, working on the investment strategy of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, I look at it in similar ways with Pakistan. When we started in 2013, we looked at bottleneck and constraint. I think Afghanistan immediately, when there is stability in next, and I see that happening in next 3 to 4 months, because you've seen the kind of outreach that China has done. His Excellency Mr. Wang Yi has visited Central Asian countries. The Afghan delegation had met the Chinese. So Chinese would be a key player in terms of its economic potential that they have and what they can provide to Afghanistan and its neighboring countries. And also in 2017 and 2019, where I had the privilege of attending the Belt and Road Forum, there was great discussion of how Afghanistan can actually leverage from Belt and Road Initiative and actually position itself perfectly well as a conduit of trade and export, which traditionally it has been in the past also. So now we have the geological survey, we have peace in next 6 months, and we have the potential to export through Central Asian Republic. The 5-nation railway setup, which has been discussed, the TAPI, which has great potential because now at this point of time, Afghan is importing energy. So using those hydel resources, using the coal reserves that they have, I think they can become self-sufficient in energy, like Pakistan has done through Cpec, where now we have about 22 billion worth of energy projects from alternate sources of energy and also from hydel and coal projects. So similarly, Afghanistan can transition very easily. What help Pakistan can provide, and also China, Iran, and Turkey can provide, like Dr. Ahmed has said, is to build their capacity to undertake any project. Because doing projects is not, especially mega projects, is not simple as it looks. It's easier said than done. You have to build the capacity of all the government authorities and bodies, and we did this. I do not agree with Munir Sahib in terms of bureaucracy. It was because of bureaucracy and all the other government institutions, stakeholders, including academia, which actually in 3 years helped bring about 35 billion worth of investment, including the MOUs for ML1 if we include. So similarly, because initial 2 days were spent from 2013 to 15 were spent on understanding the mechanism through which Chinese investment works. So if we can spend next 2 years building the capacity of Chinese institutions and stakeholders for undertaking this sort of massive. Also, Pakistani investors, Chinese, Iranian investors, and of course, Turkish friends and investors could step up, be encouraged to invest in Afghanistan for a win-win outcome. I think this would be a zero-sum game, and Afghanistan can leverage its geostrategic position. I cannot fail to quote Charles Dickens, I think a Western scholar and using his Tales of Two Cities, that these are the best of times and the worst of times. This is time of light and this is time of darkness. And it would, ladies and gentlemen, depend on all its neighbor, when history is written, which side we were. And I think, as my earlier speakers have spoken, we should be on the side of a developed, prosperous, rich Afghanistan, which is in the benefit of Pakistan, Turkey, Iran, the Central Asian Republic, and all its neighbors, because huge potential. I think what we can also do lastly is to, while we are also working on strategic initiatives in agriculture and mines and minerals under the industrial cooperation framework of Cpec, we can actually invite Afghani colleagues and friends in next 3 to 6 months, when there is stability, to come and be part of that strategic discussion, where we're looking at cooperative and cooperative models of agriculture in less developed areas, like we're doing in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. So we can take that similar model. We can also work like in the socio-economic development we are doing in Cpec, taking the money to the locals and looking at their needs of development and then develop, not actually telling them what to develop, but asking them their requirements of building infrastructure that they would require immediately for becoming the center stage and a crossroad for development. So this is my idea. I believe we cannot have a prosperous Afghanistan and peace in the region without development. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. It's definitely without development, there is no peace until and unless the people have their livelihood ensured. And the other thing, Hassan Daud Barsab, I just mentioned in a lighter tone that we have had bureaucratic reforms over the years. I was not specifically mentioning about these years, and it was just in lighter tones. We had civil reforms, you know, there was reforms and such kind of, we had like 5 years project that was funded by World Bank, and even now Dr. Ishrat Hussain was working on it. So it was just in lighter tone. Now the floor is open for question and answers. We have first 2 questions. First from Ahmad Jafri Sahab, who is a former Additional Director General FIA and founder of Digital Foundation. Ahmad Jafri Sahab, are you there? Ahmad Jafri Sahab, are you there? Okay. Please unmute yourself. Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you.
Please go ahead. And if you want to make comments or you want to put some question, please go ahead. Ahmad Jafri Sahab, unmute yourself, please. I can't hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
First, I would like to thank you, Munir sir, for giving the opportunity and taking a lead from Hassan Daud Sahab, that without development there will be no peace. So I think if we are not part of the solution, we are part of the problem. I think here's the time. I think it's a judgment call for all of us sitting in this room that we should think in terms of helping Afghanistan immediately. I think the first challenge would be their health challenge. And telemedicine being matured in Pakistan right now can immediately help them to establish teleclinics in Afghanistan. And I think this is a wonderful forum. All of us should think about it, that in next 2 weeks to 4 weeks time, how we can extend all telemedicine services in Afghanistan. And it is technically possible. I think the second is education. And I think in this digital world, it is not impossible. We can easily extend all, because the language is not a problem, because our people in Cpec, they can talk in their language. So a third will be agriculture. I think Hassan Daud Sahab rightly said that we should think in terms of helping Afghan brothers, sisters, that in case they need our immediate help, this is our immediate help. That is in health, education, and agriculture. I think this is going to be their first priority. Then as we proceed further, we can add values to it, and sky is the limit. Lastly, I will say this is the era of knowledge economy. I think gone are the days when we used to depend on dollars and pounds now. If we extend our knowledge economy, I think Pakistan is now geared up to extend this support to our Afghan people. And I, along with a number of friends sitting in this room, we extend our all support and services for Afghan people. That's all from my side. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much. Babar Bilal Saab, Director NEMA, National Institute of Maritime Affairs, I believe. Babar Bilal Saab, are you there? Ji Babar Bilal sir, unmute yourself, please.
Thank you very much for controlling me. Congratulations on talking on a very important subject. But I beg to differ with some of our but the speakers that first of all, Pakistan needs to support whatever the new administration comes into Afghanistan. Until and unless we have a formal government in Afghanistan, till then we cannot approach them and give them some advices on the agriculture or education or any other help. And that can only be achieved subject to international community accepting that regime. Pakistan cannot have a solo flight until unless neighbors of Afghanistan, along with the Chinese, Russians, Pakistan, Iran, Turkey, all are on one page, and then they can accept that whatever the new administration come into play. And my advice to the Afghan brothers is also that do not waste time and these 7 days which they have already consumed by not showing the cards. This is basically letting them down. They should speed up in setting up the government also, as well as they should come out with the proper plan of action. Presently, they are probably running into chaos, or they are still not clear what they are going to achieve. They are talking to each other. Until unless they are talking to each other, Pakistan, Turkey, Iran, it is my personal opinion that they should keep at distance, because if you interfere in their present discussions amongst themselves, then that means you are trying to push them to a one side, one road, or one direction, which is not good for the interstate relations. So this this point of view may be taken as a personal point of view, not from the NEMA, but I'm grateful to you for controlling me. Thank you very much.
No, it's not about controlling anyone, because the IT guys have just control the mic button, or like they have muted all the participants because some disturbance was coming out from different participants from different windows. And definitely a good suggestion that Pakistan should avoid taking side and let Afghan people decide about their government. And definitely the points made by Ahmad Jafar and others contributing to and cooperating for the development process. Asad Durrani sahab, are you there? General Asad Durrani sahab, can you hear me? Okay. Can we move to our next question? Sadaf Ismail Saba, you wanted to ask a question, I believe. Sadaf Ismail Saba. Sadaf Ismail, are you there? Okay. Please unmute. Let me unmute you. Unmute you. Unmuted. Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this initiative. Can you hear me, right?
Yes, I can hear you. Sorry that this time your voices are controlled by the IT persons.
No problem. I can understand it. It can get chaotic in different, like having a lot of audiences, right? Yeah. So I have actually two questions. Yeah. So I have actually two questions.
To whom you want to ask question, please identify the panelists that you want to ask question, please.
Okay, so the first question I have is Turkey, Iran, and other neighboring countries planning on investing in Afghanistan to help her develop in the future or not? Or are there like instant plans, like they want to do something right away in Afghanistan so she can develop? My other question is, there's a lot of like Afghani people, even on social media, people from Afghanistan that are actually saying that Pakistan is like not helping them, but they are like against them. I'm not really sure why they are saying those things. So do you really think that because the number of Afghanis that I have talked to, they don't really like Pakistan for interfering in this, the things that Afghanistan is going through. So though I'm not really into what's happening in the political world, but I'm just curious that how is Pakistan going to help Afghanistan develop and remove this, you could say, this bad air from the Afghani people. Thank you so much.
Okay. From the neighboring countries. Professor Dr. Ahmed Salsa, would you like to respond it first?
Okay. I think any investment, since we are living in a more liberal economy, Turkish government have very few state-controlled companies. Most companies are pretty much private companies, but Turkey's development depends on government trying to promote their share, their weight, in a way. I mean, their power. So we have an interest to have, strong economic ties with the Turkish companies, with Pakistani companies and Afghan companies. The same logic plays in Africa and everything. And Turkey, especially we have some mine companies like semi-state sponsored, semi-private, but run like a private company with more business logic, not state logic, and they can invest. I saw them in Sudan. They were doing this exploration, and if Afghans could not get hold of these American studies about the mining potential in Afghanistan, I think Turkey can restudy, re-explore these, to benefit mostly Afghani people, but also as a shareholder in this. And but everything depends on stability. So the business people don't waste their money. They don't play gamble with their own money, with their money. And we know how strict they are, how cautious they are. So we have to show them Afghanistan is stable. Governments can pressure and can do some aid. And we have TICA, for example, that's providing aid, and that one of the speakers mentioned health issue. I think we can help a lot with other issues. But when it comes to, we can help in health and education. But when it comes to investment, it is more like a market logic. If the country is stabilized very quickly, also promising, some people take, greater risks, some people take fewer risks. So Turkish people, generally investors are, more entrepreneurial style. They can take some risk, but of course, they will not gamble. And so it is the Afghani government now with the supervision, Pakistani supervision, to provide quick signs of stability and development, and especially these ambiguities. I agree with my previous speaker. If things get too long, I mean, it's better to move quickly. Too long, then you expect, if not Pakistan intervening, then you get America or Iran or Russia. We don't want to have Afghanistan as like a playground for lobbies and for major interests. We help them, but they have to be also quick for themselves.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your Hassan Daud sir. I will come after Somaye has responded to it, sir. Sir, I will come to you, and then Dr. Durrani, General Durrani sir.
Thank you so much.
Do you have a quick response?
Yeah. As Dr. Uysal mentioned that Iran's investment in Afghanistan depends on the return of peace and stability. As some of the trade roads and market roads between Iran and Afghanistan, exactly in Herat, the border between Iran and Afghanistan, the Herat ways to Qarun, it's open and the transit of goods continue because of because if the transit is stopped, we will face the humanitarian crisis. But the other point, as the other speaker from Turkey mentioned, that the large part of the trade between Iran and Afghanistan is carried with private individuals and private company and the person. But about the other company, about the infrastructure in Afghanistan, as I mentioned, it depends on the stability. Before this time, after the 11 September, after the US come to Afghanistan, most of the roads and the project roads in Afghanistan, because of the Iran's investment, and some of the facilities in Herat, in Kabul, or in different cities. But the other point about Afghanistan, I really like to mention, at the moment, Afghanistan, the situation of Afghanistan, it's not the situation that one country can cost, you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Now I would request Professor Dr. Zahid Anwar Saab to ask your question.
Can I just respond on the?
Okay, please. Sorry, Hassan Daud Barsab, I have to come.
Yeah, because
please go ahead.
Because
I have asked you to unmute yourself. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So thank you very much. As somebody who's working on investment attraction, I would like to answer this, because I personally look at investment like knowledge. Like earlier, knowledge does not have boundary. Investment also does not have boundary, and it flows to any place like air where there is enabling environment. And in Afghanistan, if peace, and again I said by Afghan-led, Afghan-owned peace process comes, they have huge potential, because for an investor coming in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, they also look at similar things in Afghanistan, because they look at it as a stepping stone. So 39 million population, a large size consumer market, natural resources because of rare earth and other natural resources that they have, including coal. And then last but not the least is the population, which can be used as for China, which is now looking at relocation of its industry for low-waged human resource. Similarly, Iran, Turkey, Pakistan is actually looking at Chinese investment. So now, through various initiatives that they are taking, because they are the largest, not just the donor, but also investor globally, and also the tourists. So now if they can attract them and bring them, we can, through Cpec and BRI framework, can attract investment in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Similarly, investment can flow in Afghanistan. Please remember, Miss, that investment even flows to war zone also, because investors like to make money, whether they are private or state-owned enterprise. They make money. People make money through wars also. So it's through peace that we should make money, and through agriculture, mineral resources, and other natural endowments in Afghanistan. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Hassan Daud Barsab. Now I would request, we will have questions that the participants have raised their hands. First, I would request Professor Dr. Zahid Anwar Saab to put up your question, please. Unmute yourself, please. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Munir Ahmed Saab, for giving me opportunity to ask question. My voice is clear?
Yes, wonderful.
Okay. My question is from Asad Durrani Saab. It's a pleasure to see you after such a long time, Durrani Saab. My question is, now the situation in Afghanistan so far, their development is concerned. What are the points of reconciliations between Taliban and the West? So I mean, is there any reconciliation possible in such a situation? This is my question. And Munir Ahmed Saab, with your permission, I would like to ask Hassan Dawood Bhatt Saab about the future of Chinese investment in Aibak, in Baghlan, in that northern Afghanistan. What will be the impact of the new development on Chinese investment there? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Before General Durrani respond to your question, I would request Zishan Shokasab, please ask your question. You had raised your hand. Zishan Shokasab, would you still like to ask a question? Okay, I would request Daud Khan Sahab. I'm going to unmute you. Daud Khan Sahab, please ask your question.
Thank you so much. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Well, my question might sound a bit different, and it is directed towards Mr. Asad Durrani. Being a resident at a borderline, normally known as Durrani line, what if we consider an ideal future in Afghanistan? There are already more than 3 million refugees living in Pakistan. Will there be any proper plan by the government or the authorities for their return, or would they be considered as legitimate as once the situation at both ends get normal?
Okay, thank you. Let me take another question. Mehak Chima, Sabah, you want to ask a question? Mehak Chima. Where are you, Mehak Chima? I can't, let me go to other screen. Mehak Chima, I can't find this name here. Okay. Yes, Maxima, please ask your question. Unmute yourself. Finally, I found your window. Please go ahead.
Yes. Yeah. Am I audible at the moment?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay. Well, I would like to ask Sir Ahmed from Turkey. In the beginning, he said that Pakistan won strategically, while the United States and India have lost in this whole scenario. I just want to have insights about this this argument, that how he says that Pakistan has won strategically.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Next question. Waqar Anwar sir, please ask your question as well.
Yes, so my question is that regarding the perception management of the current regime in Taliban, because we see a lot of, in the Western media about the women's rights and the humanitarian situation in Afghanistan. So how do you think that will the Taliban change course, as the army chief has also, the Pakistan army chief has given a statement today or yesterday, like there will be a change of stance. So how do you see that? Will there really be a change in the coming 6 to 7 months? How do you see? So my question is to Asad Durrani, or even Dr. Ahmed can answer that.
Okay, fine. Thank you, Waqar Anwar sir. Air Vice Marshal Azhar Hassan Saab. Azhar Hassan Saab. Okay, you are there. Let me unmute you, sir. Please unmute yourself, sir. First,
can you hear me?
Yeah, please. Now, yeah, you are audible now.
Thank you very much, sir, for providing this wonderful opportunity to listen to learned speakers on a very important subject. My question is regarding, obviously, United States moved in after September 11, in response to September 11 incident to Afghanistan. It had some tactical objectives as well as strategic objectives. After 20 years, we now all are discussing after the withdrawal that it has failed. I just wanted to know whether it has failed in its strategic objectives, all the objectives also. If it has not failed, has it completely gone hands off from the region? And if not, then what will be the manifestation of its policy? Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. General Durrani Saab, would you like to respond to the questions? They are more strategic in nature.
Yeah, certainly. I'll try to at least.
Please.
The easiest for me to answer is the question about the Durrani line. Why it is easy is because it just does not, I do not agree with the official, or for that matter, even the majority opinion. The Afghans know it very well. What is the legal status of this line? It is an international border, but they have a problem accepting that. And we should not have, but under the circumstances, there is no reason for us to push them on that, because before the Soviets came in, this remaining the deadline meant we were quite comfortable, people coming and going. They'll continue to do that. Insisting that you recognize it is not going to change the things on ground. It will unnecessarily upset people. And I do not know what specific advantage it will bring to us, except as some technocrats, the bureaucrats would like to say, the borders have to be recognized. And I say nowadays the borders are becoming less relevant. That is one. The second one is about the perception management. I think someone has talked about.
Yeah.
I think the Taliban have done very well. They have, during the last few weeks, but whatever they have done on ground and on certain other non-military fronts, the perception about them has changed dramatically. Some people may still like to stick to their whole thing. Oh, they cannot be, they're just being hypocrites, and the leopard does not change this. Maybe it does not, but we'll find out. But right now, almost everyone that one talks about too, the Afghans, and not only in Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iran, and Turkey, those who have known the Afghans for the last, let's say, 30, 40 years, all the expression of admiration. Some people amazed, but usually saying, well, it seems that unlike many others, they have learned. So that perception has already changed. Strategic objectives, I do not know. We can talk about many objectives that over a period of time the United States has had. There's one objective that they never declared, but that is the only one that seemed to have succeeded to a certain extent. And that is, if the idea is to create chaos in this very important area, where some big battles have been fought and will continue to be fought, then they have tried to successfully scuttle for about 20 years all that people in the region wanted to achieve, the connectivity, the trades, and so on and so forth. So that is the only one. Otherwise, whatever announcement they may have made over a period of time, fighting terror has increased. They were thinking of democracy or something else. That was, in any case, of Assad. So this is the one that I can think of. And lastly, of course, how can I not try and answer a question asked by my old friend, Professor Zaidanvar? How are they going to reconcile with the West? I think there is a question that people, academics like the Professor Saab should try and answer, because what I am looking at is these people, the Afghans, whatever has happened during the last couple of weeks, have created plenty of commotion, chaos, worry. In fact, infighting in countries like United States, United Kingdom, and Germany. I mean, the three that I know probably a little better, three more. There, the governments are blaming us for whatever reason, or the reason that we probably have known for a long time. But the interesting thing is the people, and I always consider people to be wiser than the governments. The people are turning their guns towards their own governments. Look, you've been wasting our time, you've been lying to us, and whatever you have done has, brought shame on us. Now, if that has happened, I suggest the Taliban should wait out till these people can, have their house in order, and then we will see. I think these are people, once it starts happening within the region, people reaching out to them, investment taking place, we all, trying to show solidarity and the ultimately some sort of a South Asian thing, sorry, the Central Asian thing comes into being, people will come to us. Thank you.
Okay, I hope like AVM, others' question is also answered. Not?
Was
Okay.
there one? Sorry, Asad.
Okay, we can take in the next round. Now, I would like to go to our seasoned journalist Murtaza Solangi Saab, who has to offer some comments or ask a question. Murtaza Solangi Saab, please go ahead.
Thank you. I have a question for General Durrani or anybody else on the panel who would like to answer. As we have observed after August 15, when Kabul failed, there's a groundswell of support and jubilation in Pakistan, in mainstream media, on social media, and part of the intelligentsia over this amazing and majestic military maneuver and success of Afghan Taliban in Kabul. Now, my question is, the way both times in 90s as well as now, Afghan Taliban have overwhelmed Afghan state supported by two mighty superpowers, has inspired Pakistani Islamist forces to do the same. Many religio-political parties, Jamaat Islami, JUI, and even some banned outfits, including TTP, have welcomed that. And they would like to replicate the same process in Pakistan. If we are jubilating and we are cheering the success of Afghan Taliban as they have done this miracle, how do we find moral, political, and ideological resistance against our Pakistani elements of the same kind to do the same in Pakistan? Thank you.
Thank you very much. A very critical question. General Durrani sir, would you like to respond this question Murtaza Solangi has asked? That's a very critical component of the quote-unquote jubilation.
I think one has alluded to that aspect a number of times also earlier in my presentation, and that is that if the masses are not happy with the state and the institution, they will be looking for other options. And if they find that there is a successful model next door who can not only overcome militarily the occupation, but also establish a system which is seen to be more just, courts decide quickly, people, the masses get their dues, the elite bites the dust. Now that is the desire of people here. If they find that that is one, there is no way that I am going to suggest that we should crack down against our voices of dissent. Some of them are genuine, some of them may have their own agenda, but the point is that if they appeal to the people and we know our deficiency, and because of that, that has happened, and all of us, of course, nowadays, it's so difficult to hide what the so-called privileged classes in Pakistan have done, the cluster that they have wrecked over the people. Everything that you can point out and say, enumerate and say, these were the flaws, like the corruption, the inefficiency, nepotism. This is not done by the masses. This is done by this predator class. If that has happened, it's not only the masses, there are some others also, leaving aside TTP and whatever banned outfits are. Enough number of people, including many amongst you, I certainly would say, well, try and see if we can learn from them and do something for our people. I would have called it a little bit of Talibanization, but the use of terminology will upset the enlightened classes here. But that is how, the cookie crumbled, and that is how it's like to be put back together.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm trying to find Khalid Mahmood Sahab. If you can raise your hand, please. There is an option in your window to raise hands, so that instead of like me to find you among the crowd, like if you raise hands, Khalid Mahmood Sahab, Afrasyab Minhas Sahab, and Khalid Mahmood Sahab, I can see you in the window. Okay. Okay, Khalid Mahmood Sahab, please ask your question. Unmute yourself and then ask your question.
There is no doubt that if there is no peace in Afghanistan, there is no development, not only in the Afghanistan, but also in the region. If I correctly understood that our brother from Turkey, Dr. Ahmed said Pakistan is the winner in this All Afghan episode. My question is from General Asad and our brother from Turkey, Dr. Ahmed, that do you think the forces who are the loser all this episode, they will sit calmly and they will not react in days to come? And we see in last 1 month 3 attacks on 3 different Cpec projects. So how you can foresee the activities of the CIA as well as the RAW in the region in days to come? Thank you.
Okay, Afrasyab Minhas Sahab, please ask your question.
Sir, my question is that what we have seen from the recent examples in the countries where the chaos has prevailed after such like crisis, I mean the example of Syria, Libya, and many more examples. So how come that we have a very optimistic view that the Afghan crisis, where probably the situation at this moment is even worse, can be resolved, especially when I don't see a consensus even among the regional countries about the future political dispensation of Afghanistan? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Political Azhar Hassan Sahab, can you unmute yourself and let us know like if your question was answered?
Just one point, if I am audible.
Please go ahead.
It was somewhat similar to the general just asked. If United States did not achieve its objectives, and if it continues to have interest, obviously it will have, what will be its manifestation? What will be its form?
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Next 2 questions, and they are the last 2 questions. One is from Tariq Gul Sahab and then Zishan Shaukat Sahab. Tariq Gul Sahab, unmute yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much. My name is Tariq Gul. I'm CEO of Pak Afghan Cargo Services. And we are a major player in trade with Afghanistan, Pakistan, bilateral trade and also transit trade. And this time, I think we are just pretty early this meeting we met. And I think we are the major players. Can we help the Taliban government? And we are no issue after the takeover government of Afghanistan, the Taliban, because the Chaman border, the Torkham border, and Angur Adda is running smoothly. And now we're trying to start from Gwadar to Russia via road. So that's why I'm saying to all participants, after the takeover the Taliban government, the border management is a very, very easy, because the previous government regime is too much. They take money from the traders and a very high custom duty and also under table money. And today is the fifth day to take over the government of Taliban.
Okay.
We are not facing any issue in borders about trade because they don't want any money for our pocket, and they are declare the percentage of the items like perishable items and like other items, and the trade is running too high in these 5 days, and maybe.
Okay, thank you very much, Tariq Gul Sahab. Your point is well taken. Zishan Shaukat Sahab, would you like to ask your question?
Yes, thank you so much. I would like to ask a question. Am I audible to you, sir?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, my question is to Mr. Asad Durrani. I would like to ask a question that do Ahmed Masood or Amrullah Saleh have the potential to launch armed resistance against the Taliban? And the second thing is, do you think that the Americans will use the mercenaries to operate or to have influence in Afghanistan? Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. Now I would first go to Hassan Daud Bhatt Sahab about the questions regarding Cpec projects and their security. Do you have any answer, Hassan Daud Bhatt Sahab, about the security and the Cpec projects?
If there was peace in Afghanistan and still Americans were there in Afghanistan, we did not have the withdrawal as we had in 15th of August. I think the resurgence of China as an economic power and resurgence of Asia as an economic power is a threat for the West. China is becoming as I said earlier, the largest donor to the developing country, and also the largest investor, and most of the tourists across the globe are Chinese. So they look at it, Cpec and also Belt and Road Initiative, as a threat to their economic dominance, which has been there for several centuries. And I think this is happening where Asia is now taking decisions, economic decisions. Countries like Brazil, Russia, India, and China, the middle-income countries, are now taking decisions. And China is becoming certainly the most influential economic power across the globe, influencing developing countries and supporting developing countries. So, irrespective of what is happening in Afghanistan, Cpec would remain under threat. So, all stakeholders should remain vigilant to this threat, both in terms of the security aspect and also in terms of the narrative that would be built across, negative narrative that we build, like East India Company, like debt trap, and you would keep hearing this and perhaps more in times to come. So yes, we should be vigilant. Last thing, as someone who's working, and please take me in the true spirit also, sometimes for somebody who's working on investment attraction, security has its impact in two ways. Sometimes too much of security also threatens investment, and sometimes too less of security also threatens investment. So we should be pragmatic in approach. And I would just finish on one point. I think we can address security challenging by embracing more technology. This is all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Professor Dr. Ahmed Uysal, the participants have also asked questions to you, please.
Yes, can I take Mr. Waka's question one more time, because I couldn't hear his question. I have two other questions.
Please go ahead, the questions you have. And one question was like how you could say that Pakistan wins.
Yes.
India and America loses. And the other one was about, I think, investment of Turkey and, please go ahead.
Okay, probably this was Wakar's question, Mr. Wakar's question, maybe. Okay.
Please go ahead.
Yes, I think overall, Pakistan win the first round or the last round, but as we know, these fightings, these even like it's like tournament. You know, it's one win is not total or final. There are always rematches, regaining, losing, and we know. I mean, Taliban won, and its main support came from Pakistan, and they both won the war. But winning the peace also is a bigger challenge, and we are discussing it today from health situation, economy, security, and of course we provide. I mean, we like the last speaker said, too much security is a problem. I don't think it's a problem. I mean, a good secure environment is always stable, and people know what to do. People don't want to feel. Investors, especially, are very shy, very timid. They hesitate. They don't spread around their money. So winning the peace is a major challenge. But I see Pakistan won this round, and this major win to secure its northern border against a maybe more like hostile government that is also guided from America and from the West, and India coming from South, and of course Pakistan looks like squeezed between the two sides, and also you know, these sufferings export a lot of radicalism, a lot of migration, a lot of also drugs and crime, etc. So it's a major win for Pakistan, I think, but it's not final. It is like it is a major investment. Like you find a gold, but or mine, you have to convert it to a major gain. This is one thing. In terms of investment, I think like this case is similar to Somalia. When America, also related to the other question, you know, America's role. Generally, America doesn't invest in stability in the Muslim world. Unfortunately, they invaded Somalia beginning, and Somalia was in chaos. And Turkey, you know, in like 10 years from now or ago, Erdogan took, you know, civil society, artists, and all this. They landed in Somalia, very dire, it's like Afghanistan airport. There were ships on the runway in the airport. So people, even they had a cracked wings by the airplane. But at the end, this created consciousness, international interest in Somalia, and things now began to get better. And Turkey trained their military, had investment, and very also trade-minded people in Somalia. You may want to check with the Somalian situation. That Turkey's role was very important in that, still important. And they have also terror. And in this way, I think Turkey can help a lot, and we can work, of course, with Pakistan together. But one concern also, China's role. China's role, of course, is welcome. But, you know, we don't want to leave also. You know, I want my brothers, Pakistan, of course, they had better, I mean, good relations, also goodwill toward, but, you know, big powers, when they want to control something, they want to invest, they want to control everything, and sometimes they don't care the local needs and everything. Of course, we don't want to leave Afghanistan to China. If that's the case, America will burn Afghanistan or even burn Pakistan. So we don't want to take this risk to, you know, leave Afghanistan. Of course, the supervisor has a major role in this. You know, want to leave also Afghanistan to the Chinese mercy or investment, do whatever they want. I think it is our brothers and sisters we should do with Iran, Pakistan. Not, I mean, I'm thinking with the Islamic, but we have more, I mean, these are our brothers and sisters. We have more feeling toward them to stabilize and to develop this country. And as I said, America I think will have a more negative role than will not give up on the last question. Will not give up on Afghanistan because it's the heart of you know, Asia, and Asia is the bigger chunk of the world population. They will, the big powers don't leave it. They will, you know, have strings, you know, proxies, all these. Sometimes, you know, terror and all kinds of things. Maybe ethnic fighting. They will try different ways to have their interest, and their interest we have seen so far is not the stability. So let's not assume let's not be naive that America is going to live forever. No, they are not going to live forever. Just like Russia, they left, but they did not live completely. So it is going to be the same interest they will have in Afghanistan.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Ahmed Uysal. We have, I'm told like we have already exceeded 35 minutes, about 30 minutes more of the time that was allocated to this webinar. And with the concluding remarks and answers of the questions from General Durrani, I think we will conclude. And before that, there was one or two questions about investments, and if Dr. Somaye Morovati like to respond to in 1 minute, only 1 minute. Okay, she doesn't want to respond. General Durrani Saab, most of the questions are addressed to you, and they are more sort of strategic interventions and winning and losing the game, this phase of the game in Afghanistan, and addressing the radicalization and having the consensus and a piece of brain into the formation of the government in Afghanistan. Do you think we really need to have another round of Doha talks with the strategic stakeholders of the region for the stability of whatever inclusive government comes in Afghanistan after Afghan stakeholders consensus on? Please go ahead and do attach my question with it too. And thank you, please, General Durrani.
It's grateful, like always, Uysal. A couple of questions that I had noted that I thought would probably address the concerns that you also expressed. One was Mr. Afrasiab and us. He has the right to, his own opinion. Mine is a little different, and that is, I think there is regional consensus. All these countries, the major ones, that 4 or 5 we keep talking about, they do agree as to how to go about it. Secondly, of course, this situation cannot be equated with Syria, which is much more complex. Here by now, so many things have been taken care of. Indeed, there is no gainsaying that everything is now going to be hunky-dory. There will be nothing will be happen. No, it will still be a long haul. The second one was, I think, by the Admiral, and his question is about how the United States can spoil the game. Oh, there are many tools available. Spoiler has it easy. The person who have to build it, construct it, they have plenty of work to do. They have their work cut out for them. In case of United States, because of all the assets that they have, subversion and sabotage is just one. Propaganda, because they control so much of media, that would be another one. Twisting arms of the states around, not to play ball like they've been doing it with us for a long time, so that we can, back out of the Cpec projects and so on. And earlier, we were also asked not to do or not to provide a certain facilities, let's say, or to the Taliban. So that will continue. That certainly will happen. I am also not ruling out the possibility of, at times, using the real power that they have in their hand, and that's the military one. So a couple of drones, a couple of other explosions taking here and there will create enough problem, if not to scuttle the whole process, at least to set back. The third question actually was very interesting about the Panjshiri resistance. Yes, I think someone seems to have looked at that country very closely and seen how Panjshir has played a role during the last about 30, 40 years. It's a fortress which can be very well defended. So it's quite possible that people who have gone there, that they can stay there for quite some time unmolested, or at least will be able to resist any effort by the Taliban to take care of. They may not be able to do much in the rest of the country, but there they can. I would certainly like to leave it to the Taliban as to how they will bring about, that turnaround in which the Panjsheris also, either some of them join or some of them are taken care of. They also have, like the Americans, they also have certain means of subversion, certain means of carrying out, unobtrusive attacks and so on. Now the real challenge is about the next round or whatever we have to do. Instead of suggesting rounds like Doha and so on, which in the past I used to consider as, the talking circuses, the real thing happens in the background. These are there only to show that people are there and we can always say they are talking to each other. And there are certain places which have talked for such a long time, like Helsinki, that people lost interest in them. So instead of doing, my suggestion is, look, the rest of the world has already started looking at the phenomena that we call the Taliban, the new Talibanization, or the new Talibs, as to how they have done it, how they have improved it, how they have brought about it. We are the ones who are not yet up to it. So organizations like yours and so many academics here try and look at this so that we can come to some reasonable conclusion about this spectacle. Why I'm saying is that usually the studies on such subjects do not take place. Terrorization, radicalization, Islam, etc. Someone else, they carry out a net study, a very, objective one. They take years to come to certain conclusions. And I can keep quoting, for example, the result, the study carried out by the Danish Defense College on radicalization, probably one of the best ones. We should be happy to have a look at that because there are certain myths that it has exploded, and it has also shown a little more empathy to those people who become a target of that. So that is all that I will like to, submit to this very honorable gathering, and grateful for all the patience. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, General Durrani sir. Before we conclude, just another question popped in, and I think like it is a little bit need our attention. Khalil Latif sir, I am going to unmute you. Please ask your question. Khalil Latif sir, are you there? Okay, I think he's not responding, and with the concluding remarks of General Durrani Sahab, I think this is time to conclude. And this webinar, and definitely it is not the last one on the topic. Definitely we will be discussing the situation next Saturday as well. And I wish Mirza Solanki Sahab would have contributed more, because he is a journalist having different dimension to the issues. And Mirza Solanki Sahab, I would request you to be a guest speaker on next Saturday. If you are free at the moment, at that time, usually we conduct this webinar at 12:30. And we would like to listen your point of view and the dimensions on the subject matter of Afghanistan, peace and development. And thank you so much, Professor Dr. Ahmed Uysal for joining us, and Dr. Somaye Morovati for sparing your time, and Hassan Daud Bhatt Sahab for your time, and Mushahid Hussain Sayyid Sahab, though he has left for another meeting and he has to speak another seminar. We are always grateful to Senator Mushahid Sahab, and of course, very much indebted to Lieutenant General retired Asad Durrani Sahab, who's always there for guidance and on the very crucial subject matters that we take up. Thank you so much. all the participants for taking your time out to be with us. You are always very kind because without the audience, I think we cannot make our voice heard or send the message across. And thank you so much, those who were attending this webinar on the social media platforms. See you next Saturday with same topic, but with different angle. Allah Hafiz.
Record.